The time is 2:03 p.m. on October 30th, 2020, and then I would like to call this meeting of the Chula Vista Municipal Code Section 2.25.050D Interview Panel to order. In the interest of public health and safety and pursuant to the Governor's Executive Order N2920, members of the Chula Vista Municipal Code Section 2.25.05D Interview Panel and staff are participating in this meeting by teleconference. Sorry. In accordance with the executive order, the public may view this meeting online, but not in Executive Conference Room C103. The city launched a virtual commenting portal, e-comment, that allows residents to comment and participate in the meeting from their own homes. You can find the link to the e-comment at www.chulavistaca.gov/virtual meetings. Your comments must be received before I call for the close of the commenting period in order to be considered. After the commenting period is closed, I will announce a brief pause to allow the commissioners time to read any comments that have been received. If you have difficulty or need assistance with e-comment during the meeting, please call 619-576-5366, and City Attorney Department staff will assist you. Would the secretary please call the roll?
Panel Member Teal.
Present.
Lance.
Present.
And Simone Silva, staff.
Simone Silva, Deputy City Attorney, present.
Thank you. And Marissa Guayo, Secretary. Thank you.
Public comments is the section on the agenda for members of the public to address the panel on items that are not listed on the agenda. I will now call for a 2-minute pause to allow the public to submit any final public comments. As a reminder, please refresh the view on your screen to ensure new comments appear.
Okay, and there were no comments received.
The commenting period for public comments is now closed. Have the panelists had enough time to read the submitted comments?
No comment. There were no comments.
Okay. Sorry. I go to item 1, right?
Yes.
Discussion, okay. Discussion and action on interview process, including determining manner of appearance for interview by applicants, i.e. pre-recorded video, virtual interview, written statement, telephone call, etc. Time allotted for each interview and other similar processes for the conduct of interviews. Does staff have a presentation?
I do, just real quick. And so what this is, under the municipal code, in order to appoint people to the Board of Ethics, there's a panel established consisting of a member from the Charter Review Commission and from the Board of Ethics. The two of them individuals meet, interview the people, and make a nomination for City Council to appoint to the Board of Ethics. This was done because in the past we used to have city managers doing it, but they're unable to do so and it's hard to coordinate it. So we decided to keep it internal, and the decision was to use both panels in order to give a variety of viewpoints in terms of government. And so this is that panel that's going to interview the people to make recommendations. The panel was convened once before last year at some time or at the start of this year to appoint additional members. And so this process isn't new. And so I kind of wanted to do a couple of things, just kind of want to go over what we did last time to see whether you'd like to continue to do that, and then just work over some kind of processes involved. So what we did last time was we met as a group. The Board of Ethics, the interview panel met as a group. We went over the process, who would be interviewed, and the questions that would be asked. So in terms of the process, what we did last time was for the interview itself, we would have the two panel members. The interviews would consist of 20-minute interviews of each panelist or each individual applicant. We would ask them 7 questions for 20 minutes. And the questions, while they're guides, you're able to expand on them as to encourage conversation and elicit information. And so they get interviewed, 20 minutes long. The questions go back and forth. One commissioner asks a question, then the other asks a question until the questions are asked. And then after the people are interviewed in that 20-minute time period, they're scheduled about half hour apart. There's a 10-minute gap in between. During that 10 minutes, what was done last time was we used the 10 minutes to rank people as we went along. So I think last time we interviewed, I don't know, 10 to 12 people. And rather than waiting at the end to come up with a list, we did it as we went along. And so what ended up happening was the first person that was interviewed obviously was number 1, because there's only one we interview. Number 2 could either be number 1 or 2. And then you go down the line, just kind of putting things in a hierarchy as you're going along. That way you remember things and can move people along the list rather than trying to recreate it at the end. So doing that process, by the time we got done, we had pretty much everybody ranked in terms of where they felt they would be on who they would recommend. And then after everybody was interviewed, they went back and looked at all the names again to make sure that that's how they wanted to make the nominations in that order. So even though you're ranking them as you go along, it's not a hard and fast rule that, yeah, the number 1's always going to be the number 1. You may sit there and the last person, somebody may jump to the top. So there's wiggle room there, but it's just a way to start discussing it and moving it forward. And so we did it via, I think we did it live. And so this time, because of COVID, we have to do it via video like this. And so what will end up happening is we'll start it. Each person will get asked the questions, and then before they leave, we'll open up for 2 minutes of questions like we do now, or comments. And then after that, you folks can deliberate. So we'll do that for each one. And then at the end, before you make your final decision, again, we'll open up for a final 2 minutes for the final decision itself. That way there's public participation while they're being interviewed individually, and then when you're making the final decision as you go along. The other thing is, if individuals do not have the ability to get on a computer or be able to participate via Zoom, if they ask it, we'll probably try to make an accommodation to do it via telephone. That way at least they're able to call in and participate if that's what they'd like. So we're looking to do it via video or call in, but primarily video. The questions would be about 20 minutes per person, with a total 30 minutes per individual. We'd ask questions like we did last time. There'd be a ranking as they go along, but it's not a hard ranking. It's just something to help give you guys, so you remember the things that are fresh in your mind, because there's different things that go on when you remember things recently, and then latency. So So that way you remember things as you go along and then can develop it down the line. And that's pretty much it. So our recommendation is to kind of use the process we did last time. It worked rather smoothly, and it was efficient. Right now there are 7 individuals to interview for 1 position, and so we anticipate it'll take about 2 hours to do, which I think last time it took about 3 hours with more individuals, but it was pretty smooth and ran quickly. In terms of when we can do this, we could look at your schedules as needed, but my initial recommendation, I think we lost Todd. He's coming back.
I still see him on here.
Okay, you still see him? Okay. Then my
Yeah,
recommendation
thank
is,
you.
is perhaps we could do it on our next regularly scheduled board event. You're able to hear Todd?
I am. You were breaking up, and I guess it's on my end. I heard.
Yeah. My last statement was I would recommend we try to do this on the 3rd Wednesday of November, which is our regularly scheduled Board of Ethics meeting, if that works. But if not, we can send out a doodle poll to see when people's availabilities are to do the interviews, both in
That
terms
works
of
for
your
me.
availability, but just roughly, just that way it's a regular date for us. And if they're going to be new members, this is the regular date they'd have to be coming anyway, so it works well for them too. So that's my recommendation. So any questions?
Would it be the interview panel, or would it be the whole commission for the ethics in this same meeting?
No, it would just be you two.
The panel, okay. No, that works
Yeah,
perfect because it's already in my mind of a date that I know I've committed to.
Yeah, it'd just be the 2 of you doing the interviews and ranking them and making a recommendation to do that. So and then trying to do it on our regularly scheduled Board of Ethics meeting. So,
Okay.
okay,
don't know
cool.
I don't,
Yes.
I don't know if this is the time for it, but in terms of how we make a decision, ultimately, there's 2 of us. I'm just kind of trying to think through how that works. If we're ranking, I mean, do you add up the numbers or something? In
No.
the past?
No, it's not a score. It was just basically taking the resume of this person. We like this person. They had all these qualifications and we put their resume first. And then the second person interviewed, well, based on what they said and their resume and all the other things that we determined it there, would we nominate them over the other person? Then we put that resume ahead of theirs or below theirs. So we're just kind of organizing the resumes. There's no set scoring criteria in terms of if you get 5 points for experience, 2 points. It's not that kind of interview. It's really looking at them holistically and figuring out whether they'd be good Board of Ethics members.
So we're looking to ultimately between Stephanie and myself to decide one person to recommend.
Yes, one person to recommend.
So we probably have to be unanimous, the 2 of us on that. I think.
Yes,
I'm
it has to be.
I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah, it was unanimous last year, and yeah, and stuff.
Okay.
So
I get it. All right.
yeah, in fact, they thought about adding a 3rd person, but they felt if it has to be unanimous.
Okay.
Okay, and that's why ranking them and putting them in that order helps you guys at least start the discussion.
I like that. Yeah, consensus.
Okay. So I have nothing to add. So based on their discussion, we'll proceed as I explained then. But before we go any further, we should probably take our 2-minute break to see if there's any public comment.
Okay.
So I will go ahead and start the timer then. Let me share the screen. Share.
Hey, Simone, do we need
Yes.
a motion or it's okay?
No, we can do it by consensus.
I don't need to say that. I will now call a 2-minute thing that's on here.
You could go ahead and say that.
Okay. I will now call for a 2-minute pause to allow the public to submit any final comments on this item. As a reminder, please refresh the view on your screen to ensure new comments appear.
Okay, the time has started. The 2 minutes have now expired.
And there were no comments.
I go on to item 2 then? Because there's nothing to pass, right? Okay.
We just went forward on consensus.
Okay. Discussion and action to review applicant applications, resumes, attendant documents, select applicants to interview, and selection of potential interview dates. Does staff have a presentation?
I do. We provided to you folks the applications and attendant resumes to the individuals. There are 7 individuals that are applying to be interviewed. They consist of paper. I have Cynthia Burnt, Anthony Medina, Maria Ornelas, Heather Rubio, Sean Ryan, Mario Saltzman, and Jose Torres. It's not a large number, but it's quite a diverse group. When you go through their resumes, Ms. Burnt is a retired Sweetwater Authority worker in human resources background, was on the Cultural Arts Commission. Anthony Medina is an attorney. He runs People's Legal Services, went to Cal Western Law School and USD undergrad. Maria Ornelas is a nuclear medical technician. Has graduate degrees from the University of Phoenix. Heather Rubio, a UCSB graduate in economics and history, works for an accounting firm, Christie White and Associates. Sean Ryan, Maria Ornelas is a medical assistant. Sean Ryan is the nuclear scientist, medical technologist. Went to Bowling Green. Mario Saltzman is an interpreter with apparently some UN type involvements in his work history. And then Jose Torres is a former Harbor Patrol police officer. So we get a good mix of people to interview. And looking at their criteria, there's no disqualifying criteria in terms of being related to anybody on the council or subject to the code of ethics. And they are residents of the city of Chula Vista. So my recommendation is, since we're interviewing for 1, 7 is a good number to interview. So I would recommend that we interview all the individuals that would like to attend.
I'm right with you again.
I have a question on 1, actually.
Yes.
Are we allowed? Okay. So Sean Ryan reaches out to me because he says willing to relocate to Columbus, Ohio, and he seems to have a considerable amount of movement in the last few years. That one was the only one that concerned me.
Well, you can interview and ask him about his commitment to it.
Okay.
That being on the Board of Ethics is a 4-year commitment. And that stability is something that's desired because it takes a while to learn the process, to hear things and things like that. So it's something you can ask him and make a consideration.
Okay. That was the only one that reached out.
Yeah. So, okay. So it's your desire to have everybody interviewed then?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then we'll place everybody on the interview panel. And then we already talked about the dates. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and start the 2 minutes and then go from there.
Okay. The commenting period for this item is now closed. Oh, wait. I will now call for a 2-minute pause to allow the public to submit any final comments on this item. As a reminder, please refresh the view on your screen to ensure new comments appear.
Okay, let me start from the beginning. Okay, the time has started. The time is now expired.
There were no comments.
The commenting period for this item is now closed. Have the panelists had enough time to read the submitted comments? There's no comments, so. Item 4 or item 3, right?
Yes.
Okay. Discussion and action on questions to be asked by the interview panel of the applicants during the interviews is the next agenda item.
Great.
Does staff have a presentation?
I do. Basically, I will put on my share screen the questions that we used the last round. So let me pull those up real quick. Share my screen. And so here are the questions that we used. There were 7 questions that were asked. And so the questions were, have you ever served on a board or commission before? One thing about the question is if they say no, we can ask whether you could expand the question, of course, to anything that's like a board or commission. Have you been on a board of directors? Have you served as a panelist in any type of thing? So you can always expand on it. Why do you want to be on the board of ethics? Just a standard question. What experience do you have that you feel that qualifies you to be on the board of ethics? Again, you can expand on this question. If there's an area that interests you, you can expand on it if they bring up a topic and let them explain it. On the board of ethics, you may hear complaints regarding violations of specified prohibitions in the code of ethics. So they should be familiar with our municipal code section 2.01, as well as the code of ethics itself, which describes our procedures. What I anticipate doing this time is when we send them the invitation for the meeting, is that we should include 2.01 and the code of ethics. That way they're familiar with it. I think a lot of people don't always know how to find it, but we'll include it with whatever we send them. Again, the guiding principles, which are those laudatory kind of goals that we try to achieve in making our decisions, and then the specific things that are prohibited. And then, have you ever been a hearing officer or acted in a position where you've heard evidence or rendered a decision? And it doesn't necessarily have to be in a formal kind of hearing capacity. It could be you as a boss hearing somebody, two individuals complaining about something, and you're having to make a decision. So it's really more to explain how they gather information, how they process it, and how they render a decision or a result. Number 5, the cases you may be required to hear might be considered high profile given that they involve elected officials and city executive staff, directors, police and fire chiefs. Do you have any experience in matters involving high profile cases? Again, the question really is designed to make sure that they're able to look at an issue, realize that it's a controversial issue and people won't be happy one way or the other, or things are expected one way or the other, but that they're willing to stand and make the decisions based on the right thing in the law is to do. And so it's really seeing if they've ever been in that tough decision process. Again, it's describing what it was about, the role, the type, and the number. And it doesn't have to be something that was on TV. It could be something that's controversial at work or in any other place that you know, they really had their feet placed to the fire in terms of you need to make a decision. What are you going to do? Kind of situation. Number 6 is there any other information you'd like us to consider? You know, it's kind of their catch-all. If they think there's something that would help us make a decision, help you folks make the decision, then they can say it. And then any questions for us on whether it's you as board members or myself as the legal advisor. So that's pretty much the questions we ask. They're really designed to foster conversation on specific areas, but I don't think there's necessarily a right or wrong answer. There may be a wrong answer if you say something too unusual, as saying like you don't want the Board of Ethics to exist or something like that. You know, or I don't like this position. You know, but maybe if they have a good reason, we can discuss it. So there may not be a wrong answer, but again, it's designed to foster the conversation, get a feel for who they are, their experience, and whether they'd be good in enforcing the city's laws on ethical standards. So that's pretty much the questions we used last time. They work pretty well. Sometimes when people didn't have a direct answer, there was follow-up to get the information from them rather than making it a yes or no kind of discussion. So that's it. They worked well last time. So any questions from you folks or comments?
Well, kind of, it goes back to that one resume where there was kind of an issue. Where in these questions would that be asked by us?
You can ask it, what experience do you have, Phil, that qualifies you on the Board of Ethics? And you could do it as a follow-up there. And so I understand, it's a 4-year term, you can do it there.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can add to the questions, as we go along. So if you have a specific question based on a resume, that could be question number, you can add that anywhere you want. Probably any questions for us, or we could add it as number 7.
Okay.
I could put in board member question.
For us or from us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a
That'd be good.
follow-up. Sorry.
What's that?
I think as a follow-up, I'm good with this as a basic structure, and then I would want to ask, expand and have a conversation. So
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
And it
I'm
would be
good with
more
you.
towards the end where we would want to clean up some questions or responses.
Yeah. I'll make number 7 final board question, and then number 8 questions for us.
Okay.
Okay, I will do that. Okay. If you're good with that, then I have nothing else to add, and I'll make the changes as directed.
I am. That's fine.
I am as well.
And then I'll go ahead, and if you make your announcement about the 2 minutes, I'll get that queued up.
Okay. I will now call for a 2-minute pause to allow the public to submit any final comments on this item. As a reminder, please refresh the view on your screen to ensure new comments appear.
The time is now started. The time is now stopped.
And there were no comments.
The commenting period for this item is now closed.
Madam Chair, if we can go to other business, and that'll start concluding the items.
I don't see anything else for me to say on that. Am I missing it, Marissa?
No, it's other than it has a section for staff comments and interview panel comments.
Okay.
And so I'll just make a brief comment. It's good to see
Okay,
everybody.
thank you.
I'm glad everybody's doing well. It's really nice to see you again, Todd. It's been a while, so I'm glad you're back on board.
Thank you.
Looking forward to working with you on this. Same thing, Stephanie. It's good that we get this done, and we'll have a commission that will be fully staffed and with people with 4 years of 3 to 4 years of service time left. So we won't be as short like we were before. So it'll be a good thing to wrap this up and going forward. So I appreciate doing this on a Friday on a COVID Zoom meeting. I appreciate everybody's help. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you. Good job with staff in the attorney's office as usual. Excellent. So thanks.
Thank you.
So do I do the adjournment now? Okay. It is 2:37 p.m. and I am adjourning this meeting to our next commission meeting for the interview panels to take place virtually.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take
Good
care.
to see you all. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.